Look at this chart. You can see African Americans represent 41% of COVID-19 deaths. The next closest race, Caucasian at 28%. We want to bring in Dr. Frank McGeorge. And Frank, I've said this all along, that's a significant difference.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's a trend being seen around the country as many states and regions are breaking down the numbers by race. No doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected African Americans very differently than other races, and the reasons need to be investigated. Whether you're talking about Michigan, where 33% of cases but 40% of deaths have occurred in African Americans, or Illinois, where 29% of cases but 42% of deaths were in blacks, COVID-19 is causing a higher rate of deaths in African Americans. In Louisiana, 70% of people killed by COVID-19 are black, even though they only represent 32% of the state's population. Now, the reason for this need...
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
The COVID-19 pandemic has affected African Americans very differently than other races, and the reasons need to be investigated. Whether you're talking...
Bullshit! Bullshit!
worsens are being looked at. Now, I realize it's really tempting to simply jump to the conclusion that the mortality differences that we're seeing in African Americans is simply due to healthcare disparities, but it is just as important to sort out any other potential contributing causes so we can figure out if there may be a more specific way to correct the problem. There's little doubt that underlying illness plays an important role here, but there may be much more beneath the surface.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Everybody's running around, scrubbing this and spraying that, and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs. It's ridiculous, and it goes to ridiculous lengths. In prisons, before they give you a lethal injection, they swab your arm with alcohol. It's true. It's true. It's true. Well, they don't want you to get an infection. And you can see their point. Wouldn't want some guy to go to hell and be sick. It would take a lot of the sportsmanship out of the whole execution. Fear of germs, why, these fucking pussies. You can't even get a decent hamburger anymore. They cook the shit out of everything now because everybody's afraid of food poisoning. Hey, where's your sense of adventure? Take a fucking chance, will you? You know how many people die in this country from food poisoning every year? 9,000, that's all. It's a minor risk. Take a fucking chance, bunch of goddamn pussies. Besides, what do you think you have an immune system for? It's for killing germs. But it needs practice. It needs germs to practice on. So listen. If you kill all the germs around you and live a completely sterile life, then when germs do come along, you're not going to be prepared. And never mind ordinary germs. What are you going to do when some super virus comes along that turns your vital organs into liquid shit? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get sick, you're going to die, and you're going to deserve it because you're fucking weak and you got a fucking weak immune system. Now, all right, God damn it. Hey. All right. Let me tell you a true story about immunization, okay? When I was a little boy in New York City in the 1940s, we swam in the Hudson River, and it was filled with raw sewage, okay? We swam in raw sewage, you know, to cool off. And at that time, the big fear was polio. Thousands of kids died from polio every year. But you know something? In my neighborhood, polio. Thousands of kids died from polio every year. But you know something? In my neighborhood, no one ever got polio. No one, ever. You know why? Because we swam in raw sewage. It strengthened our immune systems. The polio never had a prayer. We were tempered in raw shit. So personally, I never take any special precautions against germs. I don't shy away from people who sneeze and cough. I don't wipe off the telephone. I don't cover the toilet seat. And if I drop food on the floor, I pick it up and eat it. I eat it. Yes, I do. Even if I'm at a sidewalk cafe in Calcutta, the poor section, on New Year's morning during a soccer riot. And you know something? In spite of all that so-called risky behavior, I never get infections. I don't get them. I don't get colds. I don't get flu. I don't get headaches. I don't get upset stomach. And you know why? Because I got a good, strong immune system, and it gets a lot of practice.